So it's a big one as always. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Super League Raw Weekly, our penultimate show of 2022. Where has all of those rounds gone, Reggie?
Absolutely flown by, hasn't it?
Flown by.
Oh my word! Absolutely
by.
flown by. I think this is probably the quickest season I've ever known.
Yeah, it's been a biggie, hasn't it? It's been a
flown
biggie.
by. It's flown by. It really has.
It's been entertaining as well. There's been some great rugby this year. You know, the emergence of great players. You know, a lot of talk that one of those is definitely off. I've seen a lot of rumour. I mean, we spoke about last week that Bevan French more than likely going to be lining up for Newcastle Knights next year.
Yeah.
Bit of noise coming out of Wigan, suggesting that he has turned down the contract and he will be off to Newcastle.
Yeah, I've heard that, and yeah, I think it'll be quite a big loss for Wigan. Obviously, things didn't quite pan out for him the other night. Surprised that they kept him on the pitch for quite so long. That was a strange one.
Yeah,
I couldn't understand. He was never going to run it off.
No,
but knowing Wigan, they'll have a gem to replace him.
I mean, look, you know, I mean,
rumor is it that Ware is going to Wigan.
Yeah, well, a good player. I mean, there's quite a few players off contract at Catalan. I mean, where's Semisoni Langi going to be next year? There's another one. But you know, the closed season we'll deal with all that, and we'll do. We were talking just before we came in here. We will be doing our preview shows next year, a couple of weeks out, reviewing all of the ins and outs of each team, and yet again, for what it's worth, trying to predict where the table will finish.
I'm giving up.
After this year,
totally, I really am.
After this year, anyway, let's quickly go through a few news stories. Hot off the press this evening: Sam Luckley of Salford Red Devils off to Hull KR.
Yeah, 2-year deal apparently.
Yeah,
Seen a few comments on social media already. Salford fans saying he's going to be missed.
Yeah.
So,
to be fair, he's played well, though, hasn't he? He's
played
well.
He's the Geordie, isn't he? That gave the Shearer salute when he scored at. I've got the right player, haven't I? When he did he celebrated with the Shearer, when he scored at Newcastle.
Was it him?
Yeah, I'm sure Salford fans will tell me if I'm.
I'm sure Salford fans will tell us.
I'm sure he's the one that celebrated Shearer's style.
Maybe. Speaking of the Super League Raw fans, good evening to Graham Parrish as always. Alex Sharp was Steve Wilson. It's been a while, Steve. Good evening. Jamie Humes is with us as well. Steve Cartledge, Daniel Hearn, amongst many more coming in. England night squad, Greg, announced. We'll get to the big one in a minute, but you know, great credit here for some of these players. John Bennison, fully deserving of St. Helens in the squad. Dean Cross, Matt English of Huddersfield Giants, great season. Sam Halsall, Wigan Warriors, even Havard. Another player who's played well this year, Jordan Lane, Hull FC. Mikey Lewis, Jeslett, and the Hull KR duo there for Warrington, Ellis Longstaff, Matt Nicholson, Oliver Partington, Kai Pearce, Paul Will Price, Ollie Russell, Morgan Smithies, Josh Thewlis, Liam Tyndall of the Leeds Rhinos, Owen Trout, Huddersfield, both in our under-25 teams last week, Danny Walker and Matt Whiteley. Again, great season from Matt Whiteley at Catalan. But the big one, let's get straight to it. John Bateman.
well, we needed somebody to replace Connor Wrench, didn't we? You know, Connor Wrench is out, so...
It's genius, isn't it? So John Bateman has been picked, for those who haven't seen it today, John Bateman has been picked for the Newcastle, for the England Knights, because of course he's picked up a ban. I did, picked up a ban for his rather late tackle on Aidan Caesar. And in order to get that ban reduced to having part of the England World Cup squad, he's been picked for the Knights. He probably won't train with the Knights. He probably won't even be in their camp. He'll probably be in the England camp. Unbelievable. And I would expect Morgan Knowles will be doing the same.
He'll be in there next week. And there is an England friendly, I believe, at Salford in a couple of weeks.
That's right.
So obviously Knowles and Bateman will be in that squad as well. Hey, presto, bang, there's his bang on.
I mean, we both agree.
We don't know yet, as it's not been... The number of games hasn't been decided for Bateman yet, has it?
Not yet, no. I mean, they say it could be three.
Looking at 3 to 5.
Right, it'll be 3. There's no way. I mean, we World Cup. I mean, this is Bateman will get 3. 2 will be served. He'll miss the first group game and then he'll be back. As for Morgan Knowles, obviously he's already got his 2, but now that's going to be increased to 3 because I'm sorry. You know, we'd love to show you this in the highlight reel later when we look at the Saints Salford game. But you know, Super League being Super League, I've not actually put the Morgan Knowles incident in the highlight reel, but instead they do actually put a little tussle that happened in the scrum in there. You decide why that is, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not for one moment going to suggest there's any corruption there. But yeah, Morgan Knowles not there. But mate, I mean, I'm not being funny. You know, we both watched it live. It was a shocker.
Oh, mate, absolutely disgusting. Chicken wing tackle designed to dislocate his shoulder.
But very snide, wasn't it? He knew what he was doing. He knew where the ref was. It was calculated.
Yeah.
If he gets off with that, there'll be every other Super League team other than St. Helens will just be rolling their eyes thinking, what is going on? Yeah. How can that possibly get reduced?
2 points from this, because Kendall's took a lot of flack for that game. I think that was intelligent refereeing not to show him a red, because why show him a red and risk not getting out of the ground alive when the disciplinary panel will do the job for you? When you think about it, that's clever refereeing, that.
Well, I suppose it is.
Yeah,
Steve, I mean,
and the other point is, if it's not regarded as a frivolous challenge like the Reece Martin one was, and the ban extended, then a lot of people are going
to
raising
questions. It has to be extended. I mean, what Christian Wolf is going on about there, it's not even a ban. I mean, what game's he watching? I mean, that for me, was a shocker.
It's a straight red. It's intentionally aiming to hurt an opposition player. Therefore, should by the letter of the law be a straight red, as far as I can see.
Well, let's get really controversial, okay? John Bateman's challenge on Aidan Caesar was mistimed.
You can tell that by the way he reacted,
Yeah, mistimed. It happens in rugby league. He's going to get a 3-game ban. The Morgan Knowles one is an arm breaker, shoulder dislocator. It's calculated. Discuss.
I agree 100%. And the Wellesby tackle as well. A lot of people saying Wellesby should have been banned for that. Now, had he done it in February or March, he would have been banned. There's no doubt about that.
No.
But we changed the rules because fans were kicking off about, and players, fans, coaches were kicking off about these unnecessary red cards and bans. And so the rules changed. And I think Wellesby has benefited from that. But what I don't get with Wellesby is that the display panel took in his previous good behaviour. He's been up before the panel 5 times this season.
Oh, mate, it is. Anyway, well, look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Greg's keeping an eye on it in terms of Morgan Knowles, if anything comes out this evening with regards to his appeal.
No pressure then.
No pressure, just keep an eye on that. Let's see if anything does come out as we go on. Peter Matausi, your favourite defender in the Warrington Wolves this year on the edges there, but has been given the Spirit of Super League award, and we posted the video on our fans forum. If you missed it, have a look. Super League posted a little video as to why he got that. Clear to see that he does a lot of good work in the community, doesn't he?
Fair play to him. No. Can't argue with anything of that. It's good to see. It's that sport, isn't it? Rugby league does a hell of a lot in the community. I work for the Wolves Foundation and see what they do. You know, it's rugby league clubs, the Super League clubs, the Championship clubs, the local clubs, to put a hell of a lot back into the community.
Absolutely.
I'm good to see Peter Matausi getting rewarded for it and recognised for it. Fair play. Can't criticise anything about that.
Absolutely. And actually, you know, yes, we've took the mickey all year. You know, we've also been very factual throughout the year. We hope we get the balance right between a bit of humour, a bit of banter, but also the love of the great game. It's going to be a good final on Saturday, Leeds against St. Helens. Leeds fans, St. Helens fans, me and Reggie will be there. Where are you drinking? Let us know.
We'll avoid like the plague.
Yes, yeah. But no, you know, if any fans are out there who are going to be having a few scoopies, then let us know. You never know, we might come along and have a little pint and wish you well for the 80 minutes. It should be a great final, but we'll preview the final a little bit later on. Obviously, Tony Smith has come out and has been talking about his Hull FC job. To be fair, in that interview, it's a carbon copy of the Tony Smith that we know in terms of what his intentions are for the club. It would appear, though, that the roster pretty set. He doesn't seem to think there's going to be too many additions to that squad going now into next year.
No,
business already been done.
Yeah, and Tony Smith will do what Tony Smith does and do his best to turn the club around and get them into a performing outfit that as we've said, last 2 years we've been doing this show. Hull starts off like a house on fire, and then halfway through the season, and I hope I'm not upsetting Hull fans with this one. I think most of them agree with me on this. Something seems to happen, and they tail off. It's like as they always say, they're saying on paper, but on paper they've got a real good squad. Is it injuries? Is it mentality? You can criticise a lot of teams' mentalities. What is it? I'd love to hear Hull's fans' views on that again.
Yeah, and of course,
do they think Tony Smith is the answer? That's the important thing.
I think it's a good move. I think that's a good one. But hang on, Andy and Sue are coming in here, our resident Castleford fans. Good evening to Andy and Sue. My father with dementia before he passed remembered Matautia for his kind approach and conversation every match whilst in his wheelchair at the pitch side. That's a nice tribute from Andy and Sue there. Very nice indeed. Well done, Andy and Sue. Brilliant stuff. Outstanding. Anything else caught your eye?
A couple of things, mate. A couple of things. That the average attendance and highest attendance have been released. Yeah. See Wigan, Leeds and Saints are at the top.
Yeah, no surprise.
I'm sure Salford and Huddersfield fans won't be too surprised to hear that their average attendances and highest attendances are quite poor by comparison.
Yeah.
And the top 5 teams that have suffered the most injuries this season, who would you say that would be?
Okay, I've got to be up there.
OKR, yes.
They've got to be up there. Right, let's have a think about this. This is a good question. I didn't know this one was coming.
I've only just seen it, just coming into the.
OKR definitely. I would say Catalan Dragons has probably got a chance.
Okay.
I'll take that as a no. Right, who else? Let's think about this. Definitely OKR. Salford, without doubt.
Yeah,
Salford, without doubt. No doubts about that.
Who else could be in there, mate?
Right, I'm just thinking. I'm trying to think before I just shout them out. I'm trying to think who's had trouble. I presume Wakefield would be on that list, would they?
No, not the worst. Not the
so
worst injuries.
Right.
So you got KR and Salford.
Huddersfield?
Nope.
I'm losing then. Go on. I've had too many guesses. Go on.
Hull. So Hull, KR.
Yeah. True. Yeah,
Salford,
I forgot.
And allegedly Leeds and Saints are in that top 5 of clubs who've suffered the most injuries.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, they've got. Certainly Saints have got the strength in depth, to cope with, haven't they?
They have, and again, it's the same old story. Hull's the same old story. Same with Leeds, injuries at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, and then they come good at the end, don't they?
Although they are missing a few for the final.
They are indeed. Right.
Sorry to throw that at you there, Dave.
No, fine, mate. No. Do you know what?
As the opening credits rolled, it just popped up on my feed and thought that's interesting.
It's a very good. It's a very, very good question. Anything else?
Only what we discussed. Masters is going to Giants.
Yes.
So that could mean Wardle might be staying at
Maybe. Obviously, they've got Nagama. Latelli is going, isn't he?
Yeah.
So they said Latelli's going. So it's Nagama and
we've got Cudjoe
and I don't know, mate. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But I saw that. That'd be interesting. And of course, we'll do a full preview of him before the new season in terms of the highlight reels and like we did last year. That will.
Yeah. And the other thing which could prove quite interesting is that Warrington. Sorry to go about Warrington again. Are having a debrief with Darryl Powell where fans are being invited to ask questions.
Yes, I've seen that. But to be fair, he's been doing that all season. If we're going to be fair, I mean, you've got to give him his due. Throughout the season, his dialogue with the fans is, pretty good. Some coaches that have been, hiding and shying away from that, but he has actually done quite a few Q&As throughout the year, and he's been in.
I'm just interested. They call it a debrief.
Well, mate, he'll be judged on the first 6 games. They've got to get out flying. We say this every week. And he'll be judged on the first 6 games, and rightly so. Let's, we're too quick to move. Certainly, British coaches on. He's been given an opportunity, and for me, as a Warrington fan, I'm happy to see him start off next season and see where we go.
He'll be judged on the way we start the season next year.
100%. Right. Later on this evening, there's a small matter of going to go away with these awards. Young Player of the Year, Steve Prescott Man of Steel award, and of course the Coach of the Year. We're going to get, just to just to let you know, we're going to try and get this wrapped up for 9:30, so that should you wish, you can actually go and see these awards given live at 9:30 on the Super League YouTube channel. So a bit of a promotion there for them. I, for one, will be tuning in to see who takes those awards. But Greg, just for pure giggles and laughs,
hold on a second, Dave. You just said Morgan Knowles lost his appeal against a 2-match suspension.
It's been added.
No, it's not. He's not been added to, I don't think.
That's mandatory, isn't it? So he'll get 3.
No, it just says has lost his appeal against a 2-match suspension. That's the breaking news. I don't know whether I'll keep my eye on that.
Well, there's hope yet. There's hope yet for
keep my eye on that as whether it'll
consistency. So if hang on a minute, breaking news: Morgan Knowles is now a part of the England night squad.
Who've hastily arranged 2 more friendlies.
You wouldn't put it past them, would you?
No.
Oh, genius. Right, let's get back to this. So we'll start, first of all, with the coaches. Obviously, only Wolf is still in the comp. And, of course, league leaders. Matty P, as we know, Challenge Cup winners. Massive turnaround in fortunes year on year. And, of course, Paul Rowley. Where do we see this one going?
I think...
Forum members, where do you see it going? Get it in the chat. But go on, Greg.
I think Christian Wolf will win it. But I don't think he's good. I mean, Matt Pete has done a tremendous job in turning Wigan around.
Yeah.
You know, it's a shame, and I'm saying this as a Warrington fan, and no disrespect to Leeds fans, it's a shame they didn't get to the grand final, because I would have loved to have seen a fit Bevan French and Jay Field at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
But the job Paul Rowley's done in turning Salford around is magnificent.
Agreed.
Matt Pete, a close second to Paul Rowley, for me, because it shouldn't be about who's top of the league and who's won the trophies. It should be about who's made an actual difference.
Yeah.
Who's turned the team around.
Yeah.
And Paul Rowley's done that.
As we said, on a very limited budget with a big injury problem. I mean, look, for me, no disrespect to Wolf, it can't be Wolf. It has to be one of the other two, based on, you know, Pete won the Challenge Cup. I mean, Wigan were nowhere last year. Ran out of gas. We'll see that in a minute, you know, against Leeds. But yeah, Pete, incredible. But I agree with you. You know, if we're talking about Coach of the Year, and, you know, you take everything into account, the fan base, you take into account the depth of the squad, you take into account, you know, where I think everybody would have had them at best third from bottom at the start of the season, then you know, it's very difficult to disagree. Young Player of the Year, I would expect a shoe in this one for Welsby. Would you agree?
Yeah, Jack Wells is a shoe in.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think Mike Hughes missed a lot of the season through injury, hasn't he? And Morgan Gannon's been in and out through injury as well.
Yeah, as has Lewis. I think Welsby will walk that, which will, of course, mean that Welsby gets his award for the evening. It's between Croft and Field. I mean,
I wouldn't be upset if either Croft or Field got it.
No.
For me,
no.
Jay Field he's had 2 seasons in Super League. Yeah, he spent most of last season out injured, but he's had time to acclimatise. But he's been phenomenal. Leading try scorer. Yeah. Scored some phenomenal tries. But I'd like to see Brodie Croft get it, because he's in a team that isn't full of superstars.
No.
And it's his first season in the British game.
Right. I think
Field will get it.
I think Field will. The last produced Man of Steel table had Jay Field on 19 points and had Brodie Croft on 7. That's a massive gap.
Oh yeah. I mean, that was my opinion. I think that.
Yeah.
And say both deserve to get it.
I think Croft will have closed that gap significantly, but I think with a 12-point advantage when they stop producing the table, I think Field will hang on for that, because and like you say, I've got no arguments. Brodie Croft got the Albert Goldthorpe. Field gets this one. I'm perfectly.
No arguments from me. Yeah, he's the type of player that puts bums on seats in stadiums.
Completely agree.
Should do.
Yeah. 100%. Right, so this is where we are then. Let's take a look at this. Playoffs, of course, it was the Warriors taking on the Rhinos, and it was Saints taking on the Salford Red Devils. 2 very good games. I think I saw a poll going on during the game on Saturday, where you're watching the game, and if that poll was anything to go by, Channel 4 had something like 80% of the votes on that.
I think it turned out to like 93%
to Channel 4.
To Channel 4, absolutely.
Brilliant.
Blue Sky
Brilliant.
away. And Sky have got to sit down and seriously think about what they're doing with Rugby League now. I think that's a shot across the bows from Channel 4 and one that Sky needed, I think. Whether it'll bother them and whether they will sit down is another matter, because they know they can pull the money under our feet.
Well, if ever the fans have spoken, there you go. I mean, we've said it for a long time. The product on Sky is not good enough. No. Channel 4 this year have been a breath of fresh air, and I think with the right funding and the right backing, I think it could get even better on Channel 4. I really, really do. But yeah, I mean, great to hear that was the case.
I would love to next season. I would love to see Channel 4 do a deal for the Championship and show Championship games on a weekly basis with the odd Super League game thrown in. And build from there. And tell you what, get the Women's Super League in there as well. Congratulations to Leeds women.
Congratulations, to Leeds. Fully enjoyed that
as well. Don't forget Warrington won their Shield.
They did. I enjoyed the women's final. I thought the Peachy try was lovely.
Yeah. It was. I mean, the women's game.
She's a woman of steel as well, isn't she? Peachy?
Yeah. Yeah. The game, it's progressed leaps and bounds. It's a superb product now. The women's game, it's brilliant. I love it.
Absolutely. Love it. So here we go. The Warriors taking on the Rhinos. You mentioned it early in the show. Field, I think the decision not to take him off straight away imbalanced the Wigan Warriors. Yeah. Sorry, French. They had too much to think about in terms of I mean, when you've got a player who's limping around like that, it's got to affect you. And then, to give him to let him come out in the second half, I just couldn't believe what was seen.
I couldn't believe that he came out in the second half. It was quite obvious he was not going to run that injury off. And
no.
If there are any Wigan fans who watch us, what do they think about this? What was the thinking behind? Yeah, it was. What was the thinking behind keeping Bevan French on?
Don't know, mate. Send the wrong message out, because for me, I mean, and they had the players, they had the personnel to move things around. They had Bibby on. Bibby can go out to the wing. It was one of them. They had the personnel to move it about. But great. I mean, Marshall, mate, great season for Liam Marshall. Congratulations to Liam Marshall on a great season.
He's been phenomenal this season, hasn't
he? Yeah, very much so. Especially the second half of the season, post-Challenge Cup. He just got momentum and he went from there. And, really, really good to see Marshall on the score sheet, and did incredibly well. But yeah, Wigan just, I mean, we really enjoyed Wigan this year. Really good, highest scorers in the league this season.
And there's a real change that you're not seeing a lot of. You can go for goal from a penalty infringement at the scrum now.
Yeah.
Never used to be able to go for goal, and I think they changed that this season, if I'm not wrong. And it's very rare you see it.
It was Field doing what Field does.
I thought he'd gone here. I thought he was going to score. I really did.
Yeah. No, and good cover defence. But this wasn't the Wigan that we've seen for me. It's almost like they ran out of puff. Just didn't get going. I mean, Ade could have enjoyed his night in the sun once here against.
Yeah, they were flat. There you go. I mean, he was never going. Look at the tape, and he was never going to run that off.
No, never in a million years. Graham Parrish agrees that. Graham Parrish saying that Premier Sports are doing a good job with the Championship, and they are. There's no doubt about it. They've done very, very well indeed. But yeah, I mean, and again, Rowan's. We saw this in the last game, a couple of games ago, where Rowan Smith quite happy to even when they're behind and chasing a game, happy to go and take 2 points, get some points on the board and build from there. Did it again here against Wigan.
Yeah, it's the Aussie mentality, isn't it? Whenever you can get points.
Get them, yeah.
Unless the kick has no meaningful way of getting you back in the game.
Can you explain to me how Jared O'Connor got man of the match?
No. Hang on. Yes, I can, because his dad was commentating.
Yeah, well, his dad's mates were giving the decision, but it was unbelievable. I mean, look, we've been rightly so. We've been critical of James Bentley. We have been critical.
He was man of the match by a million miles.
Man of the match by an absolute street in this game. He had an absolute wow of a game.
And Rowan Smith has got to take a lot of credit for that. He's calmed him down.
Absolutely, mate. absolutely. Start of the season when he was getting his bands, me and you around a right old chuckle. But fair play to Bentley on the biggest stage, semi-final Rugby League. Outstanding in defence, in defence and attack. He was absolutely superb in this game.
He was. Again, this is a good try.
It's a good try.
Nice little kick through. You've got to take your hat off for these Smith boys. You know how to coach a rugby team, don't they?
Well, it runs in the family, I believe. But yeah, I mean, look, Bentley, when he, there's no doubt in the man's talent, is there? He's a talented rugby league player. It's his temperament. If he can just get his temperament right, wow, what a player! And again, how he didn't get the man of the match award. Unbelievable.
No, and now it's an interesting one, this, because if he gives that as a no try, that'll get wiped out, because I think there's a little knock on there.
There was a little bobble, wasn't there? Yeah. But again, and it's a great point. Just my apologies. Where are we? It's Andy and Sue again, and Andy and Sue completely agree what they're saying. How many times have we spoke? This is the Bentley, the Bateman one. How many times have we spoke about these rest weeks not working out? I mean, Saints didn't have it their own way against Salford. We'll see that in a minute. Wigan, shadow of themselves. Momentum in rugby league, huge. At the moment, Leeds have got that momentum. I mean, this was fair play to Bateman because he'd already been over to Caesar. But I really like this now. When he gets his red, he goes, no, I'm going to go back. And I really, credit to the man there. Really like that on the night. I thought that was such a class.
He's obviously, I don't think they show the replay again, did he? He mistimed it totally.
Totally mistimed it. Totally mistimed it.
That's respect between two professionals.
Absolutely. There was no malice there. No. There's the Bentley second. And real touch of class. Because like I say, he'd already gone over once, to apologise. And then when he got his red, he went again, which I thought, fair play to you there. And it showed true remorse. And, I like that. I like that a lot. And but again, you think about it here with Wigan, Sam Powell being brought back, you were talking about Brad O'Neill, mate.
Yeah, Dave, breaking news. The appeal was not deemed frivolous by the panel. So it's just 2 games.
So he's now going so he's definitely playing for the England Knights.
Yeah, picked for the friendly in Salford in a couple of weeks.
How can that be not frivolous? I mean,
Leeds fans, let's get your opinion, Leeds fans. Reece Martin versus Morgan Knowles. Why is one a frivolous? Why is one a frivolous appeal, and the other one, when it's clearly should have been a red card on the day, is not frivolous? No, I mean, Reece. I can't even remember what Reece Martin was banned for. I don't think anybody knows what he was banned for.
No, it's right, mate. You're right. Absolutely frightening. But yeah, I mean, just going back to what I was saying there, mate, before the
sorry,
broke in there.
Yes,
the breaking news. But before you did that, Brad O'Neill. You were speaking about Brad O'Neill a couple of weeks ago. How well he deputised with Powell. They brought Powell back for this game. They were without Liam Farrell. Obviously, they lost French early. They lost French as well. Obviously, Kay Cust. Big loss for them as well. I say that as Powell goes over there for the consolation, but yeah, I mean, how
Smith? Yeah, sorry, Smith.
Do you play Brad O'Neill? Would you have brought Powell back for that one?
I think I would. I would. Yeah, I think you have to play in a playoff semi-final. You have to put out what you think is the best team that's got the best chance of getting you to that grand final.
Yeah.
I mean, Harry Smith missed a couple of howlers.
Yeah, he wasn't good with the boot, was he?
That for me summed up the Wigan performance.
Yeah, and if you remember last week, I did say that he had the best conversion rate, the top 4.
He missed one from in front of the sticks.
Yeah, but that was at the end. And in fairness, but again,
he got a penalty.
Should have slotted that. He should have slotted that. But yeah, Harry Smith with the boot had a pretty poor night.
Because we've been praising him.
Yeah, Irene Johnson not very happy with the Rugby Football League panel. Thinks it's a bit of a joke. Can't.
Well, it's why people are walking away from the game, mate.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I've advocated all season that the disciplinary panel should go, and there should be a point system where you get a point per yellow card that adds up to a number of points, and you get an automatic 1-game ban. A red card is an automatic 1-game ban. If you pick up another red card, it's 2 games, etc.
Etc. Now you're not wrong.
As we said before the show kicked off as well, these bans that are domestic bans should not be counted in international.
No, they shouldn't. They're two separate entities. But I think the problem with international rugby league, though, mate, is that, and I think the reason why they do it is because I think it's not for the reason that many people think. I think the reason why it's set up the way that it is that we play that little international rugby league that if a player gets a 3-match ban for England, could mean he doesn't play for 2 years for his country.
So then tighten your discipline up.
Yeah, I don't dispute that, but I do think, and it's the same with the other nations as well. I think because we play so little international rugby league, maybe that's got something to do with the fact that the two are.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Who knows? But how that can't be treated as a frivolous ban, a frivolous appeal by the discipline panel is absolutely beyond me.
Well, Steve Cartledge agrees with me. He said he's never heard of an appeal being deemed non-frivolous. They are always being in capitals. He's shouting. Seem to add on an extra game, and he's right. They do always add on an extra game.
Bar a few comments I've seen on Facebook, the rugby league community is as one in saying that was a horror tackle. It was a red card on the pitch. As I say, I think Mr. Kendall was very clever there and wanted to leave the ground alive. That is a frivolous appeal, end of. Because they should have just accepted the fact that he was a naughty boy.
Yeah.
Tried to injure an opponent deliberately. And should have said, right, do you know what? We'll keep it at the 2 games because we're going to get an extra one for a frivolous appeal here.
Well, I'd love to show people the actual incident, but for whatever reason, the Super League site decided it wasn't a highlight of the game.
Not on YouTube.
No.
I must admit, I thought it might have been put up, but
no. They show a little fracas in the scrum. Anyway, let's be more positive here.
This is
Joe Batchelor, mate. Joe Batchelor. What a great season he's had for Saints.
Yeah.
Nobody was discussing Joe Batchelor at second row with a start of the season.
Pause this for a minute, mate. Pause this for a minute. In a minute, I think it might be the next replay. There, pause it there.
Yeah.
This for me was Chris Kendall has taken a lot of flack for this game, whether that's fair, whether that's warranted or not.
Yeah.
This for me, he can see. Look where he is, and he can see even better, even more clearly on the replay from the side.
Yeah, but he stands it up.
He can see that ball. It's grounded on the line, and he sends it up. Sends it up as a no try, fair play, but it's clear as day. Why did he not send the alleged penalty try for Salford?
Well, I don't think it was alleged. I think for me, how that does not go up, I don't know. And I think that everybody in rugby league is saying exactly the same thing, unless you're a Saints fan.
To be fair, a lot of Saints fans have said yes, we were lucky there.
Yeah, no 2 ways about it. Good try.
Yeah.
Yeah, good try. And I say, and this is what I mean with Batchelor, mate. He was at it all game. There's Hull doing what Hull's been doing all season.
I mean, I genuinely feared for Salford at this point. I thought it was going to be a
No, I agree, mate. Especially with Ackers going off, which was such a crying shame, wasn't it? I mean,
second minute.
What's that? Yeah, second minute. Yeah, they've lost Croft, they've lost Ackers. Real shame. There he goes again. Yeah, Batchelor, nice. But again, Braley stood up really well. Thought he played well for Salford again.
Braley had a great game.
Yeah, superb. And here comes our. They come in. Oh, they do show it. Here it is.
Oh, there we go. Look at that.
I mean, come on. I mean, the interesting thing for me, when you see that from the other camera angle, where you actually head on with it, it's even worse.
Yeah,
it's even worse.
Channel 4. It's Channel 4 that don't show it on their highlights.
Yeah, shocking, mate. Absolutely shocking. But Callum Watkins, Watkins deserved that for his season as well. Watkins, I mean, they were saying, and do you know what? I think when we saw Sean Wayne's squads early in the season, Callum Watkins in there, we were laughing about it. Actually, in second row, he's been a revelation. He's been superb.
He has, and
he's been superb.
He could quite possibly be in there for Liam Farrell.
Well, I couldn't argue. In terms of his form at second row this season, I really would struggle to argue with that. I really would.
I want to ask a serious question. This isn't me being frivolous or being insulting or anything. When you consider that Salford's average crowd is 4,500, where all those Salford fans are in that end at the home games.
Don't know, mate. Don't
And
know.
I'm not saying that to be controversial. I'm asking a question. You know,
a lot of people talking about Louis McCarthy Scarsbuck's antics, and this is what he does. All of the punching the air, thinking he was the ultimate warrior.
He's a horrible
moments.
player. He really is.
Yeah, he was
the
proper
ultimate wind-up merchant.
Yeah, he was proper getting into him, wasn't he? Proper getting into him.
He's just.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I say, if you're a Saints fan, you probably love all that. But I don't think there's many opposing fans who particularly like LMS. I have to say.
No. He's for me. He's in the same bracket as Tompkins for things like that.
You know, and this is what Salford have been doing all year. So breakdown in play there. You know, there's clearly numbers on the left-hand side, and Braley here. I mean, when the camera opens up here. You know, Conrad Hall just before that was trying to get players over there. It's a great work. Look at that from Lafay again. Outstanding onto Burgess. It's a thing of beauty. It's a great try. And at this point, mate, it is game on.
It is
absolute game on.
It is. You always thought Saints just had the edge, but especially when they went over with this was a soft try to concede after just scoring as well.
No, I agree. Pleased for the lad though, mate. You know, Benison for me, really pleased for him. You know, Mark Sneed again switched off there, Sneed, but again, here, look at Kendall here now, right? Look at Kendall here now, right? Look where he is. Perfect position, no problem at all.
Mind you, I think he went for the offside, didn't he? I think.
But mate, you could do that every try if you wanted to. So he goes up for that. He doesn't go up for the penalty try. It's an absolute. It's laughable.
Yeah,
laughable. I mean, here it is. I mean, this is just laughable. You know, and I'll be honest with you, Makinson's lucky to get away with that for the final.
Well, people were saying he was going to get a ban.
From a sportsmanship perspective, you know, for me, very lucky. You know, he knew exactly what he was doing there, no question about that. But you've got to send that up. You can't not send. You know, this is semi-final rugby league. You know, and it's the sport is at such a pace that you know, give yourself a second look. I mean, he wasn't going to get there. I don't know. You know, I think he would have done. When you see where the initial contact is made, in fact, the other camera angle is better. So we just go back to this camera angle now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, if that doesn't happen, he's getting to that ball. But I wouldn't want to. I think as a neutral, if it goes up to the video ref and the video ref doesn't feel there's enough there for it to be a penalty try,
then fair play.
You've got to live with that. But for me, I wouldn't want to be the video ref on that decision either. But
he wouldn't have give it. He'd have sent it up as a no try. And he wouldn't have give it, mate. That's how.
For me personally, and look at that point, you know, Saints were 19-12 up. So even if they go in and they probably would have kicked because it was Sneed who was kicking. You know, it's still 19-18, isn't it? Yeah. So Saints still have that drop goal from Lomax.
Who's to say Sneed wouldn't drop a goal and tie up?
Well,
it's all ifs and buts, you know. All ifs and buts should be a bike, you know what I mean? But it's
absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
Morgan Knowles red card, Saints down to 12 men for a lot of the game. That penalty try is given. Again, it's all ifs and buts, isn't it? And
it's all ifs and
to be honest,
all buts.
To be honest, Saints and Leeds, a grand final.
Yes, sort of familiar, but you know what? For the game as well. I mean, it's one of them, innit? For the game. I mean, Salford. It'd have been lovely to see Salford. I mean, obviously Wigan, Saints, Leeds. They've all been thereabouts. You know, I think unluckily for Salford, though, the injuries that you were talking about early doors.
CO would have been out because he got a concussion, didn't he?
Yeah, so you know it's one of them, and I think that's the problem, isn't it? When you've got a small squad and you're relying on such a small nucleus of players, this time of the season it's going to bite you. And but incredible, and you know what?
Salford deserve all the plaudits, as do Huddersfield.
All the plaudits. I mean, I read a couple of letters that went into the League Express, and I think every neutral in the game of rugby league, you know, watches rugby league, have thoroughly enjoyed the Salford Red Devils this season. It's been wonderful.
That's why Rowley should get the coach of the season.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I think it's been outstanding. It's been an uplifting story, hasn't it? You know, to see.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the same when they got to the grand final a few years back. But I mean, yeah, I mean, nobody would have given them.
When you think Salford, 4 or 5 years, been Challenge Cup finalists, grand finalists, semi-finalists.
Yeah.
For a club, and you know, average crowd 4,000. Come on, Salford fans.
I know. Get in your cars, get over there.
I know it's a pain to get to that ground, but it's got a great pub on the corner. Your sausage rolls are the best in Super League. Your pies are the best in Super League.
Yeah, I have to say, they do a good pie.
Better than Wigan's pies.
Yeah, I agree. They do a good pie.
Get yourself to the games in numbers. In a few years' time, you might win the big one.
Well, they're certainly going in the right direction.
Same with Huddersfield fans.
Yeah, they are going in the right direction. Yeah. They're doing really well.
The one thing I have seen more and more of, though, and I haven't seen it in such kind of numbers, is people calling for the grand final to be just an end of season playoff, and the team that finishes top of the league are champions.
Well, I mean,
I've seen more and more calls for that over the last couple of weeks.
It's one of those, isn't it? I mean, if Leeds go and do this again, you know, win it from fifth, the grand final winners. I get that, but you know,
finish fifth.
Come on. I mean, well, actually, let's get to it, because as you'd expect, you know, been hard at work getting a few bits and pieces together for us to discuss. Let's get previewing this grand final. So here we go. Let's do it. The grand final then. Starting off, here we go. Brad Dwyer. I think that's the closest he'll get to the grand final. That's another story. I just don't see Brad getting there, unfortunately, for him, after, let's be fair, what has been a really good season for him.
I've enjoyed watching Brad Dwyer play.
Yeah, he's been very, very good.
He's turned a few games around for Leeds, I've got to admit.
He has indeed. Right, let's go. Let's take a look at these then. So we were just touching on this a minute ago, right? Look at this league position, first against fifth. You know, and this might surprise Saints fans, but actually, I do want Saints to win this on Saturday.
I do.
For the pure reason that it makes a mockery of this. You know, had it been Wigan playing Saints, Wigan have ran them close, and there've been some good tussles between them this year.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have sat as bad if it was the Saints Wigan final and Wigan had won. But the fact that we're talking about Leeds here, that 7-win difference between the two, first 15. You know, I'm sorry, but I just find it really, really tough. But head to head, this is how they look. As you can see there, first against fifth, 22-15. Saints, nearly 100 more points scored and a better defence as well, albeit since Rowan Smith has come along, those stats are getting a bit better for Leeds. Look at the discipline. So again, from a disciplinary perspective, Saints.
Yeah. Some could argue that should have been 2 red cards for Saints, but let's not go back there, eh?
Let's not go back there. But here's the interesting one. Since grand finals, so not taking into account the first Super League season, where of course it was done on the league table, just totally on grand finals, it's 8 apiece between Saints and Leeds going into this game. Obviously, Saints had more runner-up spots than Leeds, but in the 25, it's 25, isn't it?
6 years.
20 this year, but in the 25 grand finals that we've had, these two teams have won 16 of them between them.
There's only ever been 4 grand final winners in 26 years. Yeah. In the previous 26 years, I saw a statistic there were, I think, 16 different winners of the league title.
Yeah.
Well, I might be wrong there. It might have been.
Yeah. 30. Well, Wigan won the lion's share in the 80s. Yeah, they
but the previous,
certainly in the 70s. Yeah, certainly in the 70s. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
I'm gonna say the question I always ask.
Go on.
A couple of years ago, Liverpool won the league after 30 years. Could you imagine the outcry if they'd have then had to play in a top 6 playoff and Spurs beat them at Wembley to be crowned champions? Could you imagine the outcry?
The thing is here, mate, and this is the thing, is this is to match what goes on in the NRL. We know that. You know, this is grand final rugby league. Yeah. The reason it works so well in the NRL is that the teams over there are a lot closer. So actually, you can't do what. You can't do what Leeds have done over here this season. You can't, you can't go to sleep for half a season and catch up. Over there.
Or have injuries.
Have injuries. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can't do that. Because it's competitive right up until the end of the league table more often than not. So and then so what you've actually got is I mean Penrith this year obviously have walked the minor premiers, but when we get now to this playoff rugby league, it's a lot closer. The league table, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It always finds a way over there. Very, very seldom do you get a team that's finished 5th, 6th, or whatever going on and winning it. It just doesn't tend to happen over there. But over here we are susceptible to it. And look, I mean, no disrespect to Leeds. I think Leeds have been it's been a real incredible. You talk about turnarounds, and again, how narrow-minded is this? People were saying that if Rowan Smith wins the grand final, he's coach of the year. Now, don't get me wrong. I get that. I get the sentiment of that. But come on, behave yourselves. They
lost the first. They won one game out of the first 11.
Yeah, but they're on about Smith, aren't they? They're on about Rowan Smith. He's
coming. That is Leeds. They won one.
Yeah, Leeds is a team.
First 7 games, and now they are in a grand final.
Yeah.
Wigan, the only game they've lost at home all season. And the way they kept saying that on Friday night, I just thought they just kept saying it so many times, and I'm thinking, we're going to go on a lose here.
Yeah. Well, they will it on, don't they? But anyway, I mean, it is the head-to-heads this season, so we'll carry on this. We'll carry on. The head-to-heads, 26-0, of course, at that point in time, it was, of course, Richard Agar in the seat. But that said, in the return fixture, 42 points to 12 win for Saints. So, when you look at it that way this season, if we actually culminate those two performances, it's 68 points to 12 over those 2 games. Leeds are going to have to go some on that basis, but of course it's a different beast. It is a different beast. So what I thought we'd do, just to add to the spice of this a little bit, some key battles. Now, I think, bit of a spoiler alert here, we're going to do fullbacks first. Bit of a spoiler alert. Obviously, no Aidan Caesar. I'm betting on Myler playing at scrum half.
I would be very surprised if he's not.
Yeah. So on that basis, Zach Hardaker will go from centre to fullback.
Yeah.
And this was quite surprising when I put these together. Head to head, because I think John Bennison will be fullback for Saints.
Yeah.
And Mr. Bennison, take a bow, sir. All right, it's 16 against 7, but even if you double up Zach Hardaker's statistics, they still come short in terms of how well this young man has played. And of course, people will argue Bennison has played in centres. So's Hardaker. Hardaker's played fullback. He's played on the wing. He's played in the centre. Bennison exactly the same. So it is a fair comparison between these two. And I think that when I put this together today, we were talking about John Bennison last week. He was in my under-25 team of the year. I wasn't completely. When you put him next to a player of Hardaker's quality,
quality,
what a season this young man's had.
Yeah,
what a set.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it with Lewis Dodds last season. In a few years, if Saints continue to bring these kids through, we will have a really powerful England team.
Absolutely.
In a few years. And you've got to praise the lad. You've got to praise the lad for what he's done. I mean, he made a few mistakes early doors, which is understandable. But since then, it's come on leaps and bounds, I think.
Steve Wilson has just jumped in here saying he's heard on the grapevine that Frenchie's staying at Wigan for 2 years.
Oh, well, fair enough.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different conflicting stories coming out of Wigan on that basis, because it depends on who's here you've got in terms of where French is going to be. But I'm sure that probably in the next 7 days, by the time we come back this time next week to look back at the grand final and bid everybody farewell for the winter months and for the World Cup. We might already know that. But I mean, this is a key one. I mean, look, Hardaker, we know, quality player, played really, really well against Wigan. But I mean,
Hardaker's got the experience, has played in big games.
Yeah, but again,
maybe just has the edge because he's.
Who can forget Wellesby against Wigan?
Yeah.
You know, it's unbelievable. Scored the winning try right at the death. And, you know, again, massive game for this young man. And knowing Saints as we do, they will have no hesitation naming him at fullback for me.
No.
I think he's there. Steve Barton saying any news on a new halfback for Warrington? I've heard nothing on that.
There's been rumours flying about a couple of Aussies, but
nothing concrete.
I think cold water's been poured on those over the last few days. Yeah. You know, we've got a couple of young kids there who could quite easily do a good job as far as I'm concerned with George Williams. Yeah. So give them the head, give them a chance, like Saints do with Bennison, like they did with Wellesby. Yeah, give them a chance.
Well, that's where we're going next. We're going into the halfbacks. So let's go now. Just because I've already said I think Marlowe will start there, but of course the other thing that I mean, Smith could do a lot of things. He could. I don't think he will. But he could have put Cruz Lehman in the halves, left Marlowe at full back, brought Brad Dwyer in on the bench with O'Connor. Could have easily done that. I don't think he will. I think he will go Marlowe. But this is really interesting. The reason why it will be Marlowe, I think, is captured in this graphic. So if you look at Wellesby and you look at Lomax this season, you know, 19 tries and 46 assists. It's a frightening number. You know, so that's 260 points that they've made in that respect. You know, tackle busts more here, clean breaks more. Look at, I mean, every conceivable stat there, with the exception of errors. They've made more errors. Absolutely whitewash Austin and Lehman. Now, it doesn't get much better, but this for me is why it will be Myler. Because if you bring Richie Myler in there, you know, your 14 tries, 19 assists, again, 132 points there. It's not great, but if you look at clean breaks as well, Myler 21%. The Myler factor, yes, people will say, but he's played a lot of these games at fullback. I get that, but what it proves is how lethal he is at breaking a line. All of a sudden, you know, they get a little bit closer, only a little bit closer. But
on his day, Myler's one of the best supporting halfbacks in the game. On his day,
I agree.
You know, and he's played. I admire Richie Myler because he was an outcast last season at Leeds. The season before, sorry, I think the lockdown season, he was a bit of an outcast, and they'd been told he had no future there. And he got surprisingly got some injuries early doors. Leeds, surprise, and he took his chance. And I think he's been in the team ever since. So you've got to admire him for that.
Absolutely, absolutely, mate. I do think I'd be amazed if we're wrong on this one. I do think Hardacre will start at full back. I think Myler will be pushed up into the scrum half position for Aidan Caesar's position. But yeah, that. So what we've seen here, you know, we're looking at the spine to begin with. Bennison stacks up really strong against Hardacre. But as you rightly say, Hardacre, he's got big game experience. That could be vitally important at Old Trafford. You then go to the halves. There really is no comparison between the Saints halfbacks and the Leeds halfbacks. There's no comparison. So they've got the edge there. You then go forward into the hooking positions, and it'll be Lusic and Roby, and it looks like it's going to be O'Connor and Cruz Lehman. Yeah. Again, look at these for a set of numbers. So as you can see, total points, more points coming from Leeds, more tries from the Saints players. But again, look at the assists there for these two. 17 plays 11. Really, really good to see. Surprised me in terms of the dummy runs. You know, especially Roby. You know, 147.91. We know
Cruz leading
down a little bit.
Run.
Yeah, but massive gap there between the two. Tackle bust as well. I think Lusic has played a big role in that for St Helens. Clean breaks as well. And look at again, defensively pretty even. Offloads, well, certainly about 300 different, sorry. Offloads pretty even. And look at the errors, very, very similar. So, I mean, for me there in the hookers, that is probably the most contested of the three that we've looked at to this point. But again,
James Roby, so much experience.
Yeah, and Lusic as well. Lusic, since he's come back, and
a cup final and a grand final for Salford, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely right. Went off to the NRL, come back, and for me, he's been a steady pair of hands as Lusic this year. You know, he's deputised well for Roby. He's come in, he's done really well. I didn't look at, I'll be honest with you, I didn't look, and I'm kicking myself now why I didn't do this. I didn't look at Brad Dwyer because I would expect that Dwyer's statistics are better, could be wrong, are better than O'Connor's.
Yeah.
I
would put money on that his statistics are better than Jared O'Connor's.
Well, let's take a look then. So Leeds Rhinos, let's get in there. Let's get them both up. So Bradley Dwyer. That's because do you know what? Because I don't. And the reason I didn't look is I genuinely just do not see Dwyer playing this game. I don't know what's happened behind the scenes. I think something's probably happened. Obviously, we know he's gone. We know Jared O'Connor's staying. So, you know, as the coach, he's obviously got a lot of faith in Jared O'Connor. I think I saw an article this week that said that O'Connor has been in every game since he's arrived, which was interesting. But anyway, Brad Dwyer has scored. But here's an interesting one, right? Brad Dwyer has scored 7 tries for Leeds this season. O'Connor hasn't scored 1.
Scored 1 on.
Sorry, he scored the 1 on Friday. My apologies. Try assist, Brad Dwyer 8. Yeah, okay. Jared O'Connor 5. Tackle busts 52, plays 12 to Dwyer.
Yeah.
Clean breaks, O'Connor's got 2, Dwyer's got 12. Now, this is why I'm saying something has got to have gone on behind the scenes, because statistically, Dwyer should be a revolving hooker in this grand final.
If he wants to win the grand final, and no disrespect to O'Connor, if you want to win the grand final, you have to have Brad Dwyer on your bench.
Well, he might put O'Connor at loose forward. He's done that before this season. He might decide, you know, but then, you know, how can you put him there? Now
Morgan Knowles is missing at loose forward. He may well.
Well, this is interesting because again, and this is what he might do. This is what tonight's all about. You know, a bit of speculation, but it could be that what he does is he might put Milo in the halves, drops Hardacre back into fullback, which then maybe does he bring Reece Martin back into centre? Maybe, which allows Cameron Smith to then go into second row.
Yeah.
Which allows Jared O'Connor to come in at loose forward and Dwyer can go on the bench.
I think Cameron Smith has to play loose forward. I think
he's too. I agree. I think he's too good. I think he's wasted second row. I agree with that.
He has to be dictating play in the middles.
John Costello here. He's going Marlow at full back and Hardacre remains in the centre. So who are you putting at the half backs then, Joe? John? Who are you putting at half back? Melissa Sharp's coming in. Melissa's going Hardacre at full back.
Yeah.
Briscoe, Sutcliffe, Martin, as we've just said. Martin going in the centres. Of course, Tyndall, because no Ash Angley. That's a massive blow for Leeds.
Yeah. No Harry Hickman as well.
Yeah. She's then got Milo and Austin in the half backs. Aledski, O'Connor starting prior. Bentley, Thompson, Smith will be the team. Is what she's gone for. So yeah, because of course you've got Bentley there.
Yeah. Will they put Dwyer on the bench?
Well, no, it's going to be okay. Well, I mean, again, you know, for me, Leeming is playing. I think there's no doubt about that. He's one of the uppers.
He must start with Leeming. He must do.
More than likely. Yeah, again, for some reason, he seems to like Leeming off the bench at the minute, and he's starting O'Connor. It's an interesting one. Yeah. But he's only picking 2 of those. The only way for me Dwyer gets in is if he decides, again, does he put, I mean, I think Melissa there put Thompson in the second row. Does he put O'Connor in the second row? But I think it's too big a gamble. It's too big a gamble. You've got to play Smith.
Second row O'Connor? I don't know.
You need, and what you need, you know, for Leeds in this game, we've seen the stats head to head. We looked at a few of the head to heads in terms of key positions. The players that we're talking about here: Richie Myler, Zach Hardacre. You know, we'll get to the props in a minute. You know, Leeming, who's been in sensational form for me this season. You know, in those earlier rounds under Agar, Leeming was a standout player. He really has had a good season as Cruz Leeming. These players need to have the game of their life on Saturday night for Leeds to stand any chance of turning St Helens over for me.
And I think they probably had the game of their life on Friday. And I think it'd be very, very... We could be 100% wrong here. And again, no disrespect to Leeds fans. I just think it will be very, very hard for Leeds to get to keep Saints quiet like they kept Wigan quiet on Friday night.
Yeah.
You know, Saints, this is their 4th final on the trot. And sometimes it works like that. Sometimes a team goes for number finals and eventually they lose one.
Yeah.
I think Leeds have got to find something extra special, something that Saints aren't expecting, that nobody's expecting, that will take them by surprise. You know, Saints have got Walmsley out. They've now got Knowles out.
Yeah.
Aiden Caesar's a big miss because I think Aiden Caesar's been playing his best football of the season over the last.
Yeah, Tony. I mean, again, they're playing at, you know, me and you this season, you know, the amount of times we've talked about Aiden Caesar not at the races, but yeah, this last six weeks or so, he's really shown why.
Austin grew into that game on Friday.
Yeah.
It's fairly anonymous for the first quarter of that game, and he grew into it.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a new Caesar and Austin were starting to click, I think.
Yeah, it's a shame.
And that's the thing in a big game. If you're playing a final, you need to have your settled halfback pairing with a settled hooker and with a settled loose forward and a settled fullback. And that's the thing that I think will probably be the undoing of Leeds because they've had to shuffle.
Yeah.
If they were coming into that game with their recognised fullback, scrum half, standoff, loose forward and hooker, I think they'd have a much better chance. I mean, people might think I'm talking rubbish, but you generally need to have a settled spine if you're going to win a big match.
It's you know, there's just so many surprises that could happen when the team sheets come in, isn't there? But I mean, for me, I completely agree with what you're saying. Yeah, it's gonna be fascinating. And then we go up to the props. So let's take a look at the props. You know, because again, the real muscle down the middle. And of course, you know, with no Walmsley, if the semis anything to go by, it'd be Parsley and Lees. I thought Lees had a good game actually.
Yeah, I thought he played well. He's had a solid season, Lees. Again, not got a lot of the plaudits that he's deserved, Matty Lees.
No, he's not, mate. He's not. Going up against Matt Pryor and going up against, of course, Mikolaj Aletsky. Let's be fair, Aletsky, if you know, carried a shoulder injury into that game against Wigan, so questions over his fitness.
Yeah,
and believe me, if Aletsky is not in this game, God, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. You know, with nothing from Leeds to suggest he won't be playing. But yeah, Aletsky is vitally important. When you look at these two stats side by side in terms of how these two hit, you know, without Walmsley, it's a really competitive set of graphic because you know, if you look at that there, yes, I'll take the points away. Tackle busts still go the way of St Helens even without Walmsley. Clean breaks are even. Tackles, no real surprises with the way Leeds started the season. Offloads, again, Parsley is a beast, mate. Absolute beast. Yeah. Of those, I'm trying to remember now, of those 47 offloads there between the two of them, get you the number on this. I couldn't believe when I put it together. Parsley, of those 47, Parsley is 42 of them.
That's phenomenal.
So it is.
And spending most of the season coming on for the bench.
Yeah, incredible, absolutely incredible. So he's there. Carries, you know, 33 between them. Look at the meters. You know, meters. I mean, you know, more out of Parsley, 7.7 plays 7.3. But here's the real frightening thing, and this is how vitally important Mikolaj Aletsky's performance is to Leeds on Saturday. Because let me now tell you, and look at the Leeds graphic there, the Matt Pryor Aletsky combination. Of the 7 tries, Aletsky has scored 3 of them. He has also been the 2 assists.
Yeah.
For the tackle busts, he's done 48 of them. The clean breaks, he's done 2 of them. Tackles, he's done 791 of them. The offloads, he's done 12, so about even Stephen.
Yeah.
Carries, He's done 362 of the 532.
That's pretty good going.
And this is the killer. The meters, 2,768 of those meters are Ledsky.
Wow.
Now that is how when I put that together, I was like, oh my word. Yeah. So even though on the face of it, there's nothing between it, and there's not, a Ledsky of those 4 is crucial.
Yeah.
To any chance that Leeds have got. Yeah. Absolutely crucial.
And Matt Pryor, we praised him last season. He's had a good season, but by standards of last season, he's not been as good this season. He needs to have the game of his life on Saturday.
He needs to stand up, mate.
Game of his life. Yeah. That Oleski, I mean, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I've been calling Oleski all season as an outstanding performer. Even when Walmsley was fit, he carried that Leeds pack in the first half of the season, carried it, and those figures back that up to a certain extent.
Mate, Oleski's been a beast, mate. An absolute beast, and fully deserving of his dream team spot. And like I say, when you look at that, how vitally important he is, his fitness is critical for Leeds. God forbid, if Oleski didn't turn out or was
injured early doors, or only 80% fit.
And again, one of the players that we haven't spoke about here, again, who he's going to be, I believe, especially in the grand final. Reece Martin is a huge player for Leeds. Yeah. All season, we've been saying it. I think Reece Martin is, when you look at Martin's stats of how many of the points that Leeds have scored this season, Reece Martin have scored them. I think it's like 40%, something stupid that we looked at a couple of weeks ago that Reece Martin had contributed. And
of course, bear in mind, he's also copped a few bans and had a few injuries as well, I think. Yeah.
And of course, making some back for Saints, goal kicking could be very important. I personally don't. Could be wrong.
Come down to goal.
I don't think it's going to come down to it. I don't. But grand finals again. I don't know what the weather's going to be like on Saturday. We're too far out.
It's going to be nice. It's going to be all right.
Well, I always put my head out the window in the morning, then I'll find out.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Owain says it's going to be nice, so that's good enough for me.
A lot could happen between now and then. So right, let's do it then. So where are you going then? St Helens, Leeds. Where are you going?
I think it is, and again, no disrespect in this is meant in this answer. I think it is vital for the game that Saints win this grand final.
Yeah.
Because we've got people walking away from the game as it is with whatever. We've talked about it all season with how the game's run, how it's officiated, strange decisions being made week in, week out, inconsistencies. I think if we have, again, a team that finishes 5th being crowned champions, I think more and more people will walk away from the game.
Well, I think this is again. It's the attendance bit. You've got to look at all of the supporters are going. With the exception of Leeds, who are delighted, of course. But you've got supporters going through turnstiles. And you're thinking, well, hang on, I'm paying for. I mean, some people have been paying 13 home games at 20 quid a pop. So it's 260 quid in it.
200 quid for a season ticket.
Yeah, 260 quid a pop for a season. Why am I spending 260 quid?
When it's going to
go and watch my team,
the champions.
What does it matter? It's about who can play well in the last 5 rounds and who can
scrape into the top 6.
IMG over to you. These are the things that you've got to go and consider.
Please, IMG, don't reduce it to 2 leagues of 10. Make it 14 teams.
Make it 14.
I'm going to be controversial here.
Go on.
Get rid of the grand final. Because you will get more bums on seats in stadiums if you are Salford and you've got a chance, or you're Huddersfield and you've got a chance. Huddersfield topped the league a few years ago. Can you imagine the boost that would have had to their season ticket sales?
Yeah.
Salford were in the top 4, top 2, top 3, and got to a Challenge Cup final. Mm-hmm. Imagine the boost their season ticket sales. I'm going to be really controversial, and I think IMG, I think you've got to say to Sky, we've had 4 different winners of the league, or 4 teams named as champions in 26 years. We've had teams from 5th being crowned champions.
Yeah, but I mean, Melissa.
Well, that's me. That's my.
But Melissa's taking Melissa Sharp's on it, and she's right. The same can be said of football. The same can be said of many sports. And you think of tennis, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic.
People still go to watch those sports.
Well, yeah. Of course they do. I don't dispute that. So that little bit, I get that. I think for me, I think the thing about rugby league, there was too many trophies back in the day, but now there's too few.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you had the Challenge Cup, you had the Regal Trophy, you had the Lancashire Cup, you had you had the league, and then you also had the Premiership at the end of the season. Yeah. So I think the Premiership is the way to go here, where actually the champions are the team that finished top after 27
I agree,
rounds.
100%, yeah.
You're the champions. Now we go for the Premiership. Now we go for the Premiership. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And how that looks, I don't quite know, but how that actually looks, in terms of where you would do you do it exactly as you're doing at the moment in terms of it's 8 teams, it's straight knockout. Okay. It's
why do we not have top 8? That week.
Because I top 8, quarter-final, semi-final, final,
yeah.
Premiership
against 8,
season.
Second against 7th, etc. Yeah. Then no team gets a week off and loses out.
And exactly, and that's where you go. You do a Premiership style. And actually, I think because that's the thing. I think the thing is the Challenge Cup. By bringing that back, there's now 3. Well, there's 3 trophies up for grabs every year, and I think that, and then they've got to look at the women's game. I think the women's game should be the women's the women's Super League final should be the curtain raiser to the men's Super League final.
Of course, it should.
That's what should happen. That's what should happen. That's the way it should be to grow the women's game.
Yeah.
We've spoken about that. For me to grow the women's game, I think again, if I'm running the Rugby Football League, what I'd be doing is I'd be saying, right, Warrington Wolves playing this. I don't know, Warrington Wolves playing Leeds Rhinos on a Sunday afternoon at 3:00. It'll be Warrington Wolves against the Leeds Rhinos women at 12:00.
Yeah.
It's half price beer up until 3:00, until the men's game kicks off. So rather than go down the road to the pub, I may as well go and have a cheaper pint in the ground, watch some women's rugby league. So this is the type of thing that the Rugby Football League should be really thinking outside the box and going right. Because I agree with you. The women's game is growing. There's no doubt about that. I mean, one thing we know about Rugby League Stadia is that in terms of the mixed male and female, it's always had a good female fan base as Rugby League. Always has done. And a lot of this female fan base now is quite rightly taking an interest in women's Rugby League, especially younger girls, because they can see people that could be me one day.
They now have role models.
Absolutely. So that for me is critical. So these are the things that I would hope that IMG are
I would encourage anybody who's got a daughter, a sister, a mother, even a grandmother.
Yeah,
get out there and take Rugby League up. The women's game is a brilliant
standard, mate. It's a good standard.
Yeah, and to be fair, we have to praise the RFL a little bit for this because they have. Ralph Rimmer especially has been instrumental in developing the women's game. So you've got to take a bit of praise for that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, mate.
But going back to your point about cup competitions, etc., if we don't have a Premiership, why not bring back the Lancashire and Yorkshire Cups and then have the winners of the Lancashire Cup against the winners of the Yorkshire Cup? Have that as an end of season.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's lots of things.
But I genuinely do now believe that the grand final is a media created thing, and I think it's time to put it to bed and have the team that finishes top of the league are crowned as champions.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because and you know what? Absolutely. I mean, whilst we're thinking, whilst I'm just having a quick look at this, who do you think's going to win the Harry Sunderland?
You're looking at anybody from Wales, well, James Roby.
You think?
Nailed on, James Roby.
You think
it's record-breaking appearance in the final.
You think it's that obvious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
James Roby is going to be Harry Sunderland trophy winner, I would suggest.
So it's 20. So it's now. So let's take a look at this then. So here's the interesting one. In the same period that you're talking about, and this is the thing about the league. The league.
1970 to 1996. I think it's definitely in the teens. The number of teams that won the league.
Yeah. Well, look. I mean, all you've got to do is go from 1998, right? So Wigan Warriors, 1. Bradford Bulls, St Helens, Leeds Rhinos, Warrington Wolves, Huddersfield Giants, Castleford Tigers. Is that right? Yeah, Castleford Tigers. Catalan. So actually, 9 teams have won the Shield.
Yeah.
Since 1998.
Yeah, we brought in a salary cap to even the sport out so that one team wouldn't keep winning it.
Yeah.
Well, that's worked because we now have just 4 teams that have won it.
Yeah, but I feel like that's interesting. In it, 9 teams since 1998 have took the lead of the Shield. Now you'd have St Helens fans and Wigan fans and Leeds fans coming out the woodwork saying, "Yeah, but if it was a league title, then it'd have been different. We wouldn't have rested players and perhaps no, I'm not having any of that. I'm not having any of that. The bottom line is those were the stats. That was the league. They were the people who topped the league in those periods, and I think it's something that we've got to look at. You're saying James Roby for the Harry Sunderland. I'm going to go. I can't go Morgan Knowles, which is really upsetting me. Who am I going to go?
You never know. He might get it sat on bench.
Who am I going to go? Do you know what? I'm gonna have to. I'm sorry, Leeds fans. Conrad Hull.
Okay.
Conrad Hull. I don't know.
I think you're going for a Saints win then.
I'm going for a Saints win. I think it'd be 9-17 Saints, somewhere in that ballpark. I think.
I think that's something like that. I think Leeds will put up a good fight.
Yeah. Oh, John Costello's gone. Johnny Lomax, good shout. Lomax quality.
Yeah. Wellesby.
Yeah.
I just get the feeling it's tailor made for James Roby. Record breaking appearance. They don't look much past James Roby or Wellesby or Lomax.
Well, is it Sky? Does Sky get to decide this one, or is it done by a panel?
Even so,
if it's Sky, it's not. You've got no chance of it being somebody obscure.
No, you could have Zach Hardacre scoring 5 tries, and Roby would still get it.
I mean, Melissa Sharp's having a bit of a niggle, and fair play. She said, "Is it the winner's fault that Hull, Castleford, Catalan, Salford, etc., lost the final?" No, it's not.
No,
it's a good point. If finals had gone another way, and you know what?
But the problem with that is, and I'll not niggle back, but come up with a reasoned argument.
Okay.
Those teams have come up against teams that have played and know how to deal with the pressures.
But again, that's not that. Again, but to take a view, that's not their fault, is it? Which
no,
again,
not at all.
To take her view.
Let's face it, Warrington should have beat Wigan when they were 16-2 up.
Yeah.
And they bottled it.
Yeah.
They bottled it. They had injuries, admittedly, but they bottled it.
Yeah.
Warrington have bottled the 4 finals they've been in now with the first trip in that. As a Warrington fan, they should have won. They were the best team in the league on 2 occasions, and they bottled it. Now, is that a case of not being able to handle the pressure? And the team, basically Leeds and Wigan, who'd been there for most of the grand finals, knew how to win it. Now, that's an argument. I think that these teams now know, and they also know how to get there as well, which is important.
I mean, look, my only limp in on the Warrington one is that, the year that Monaghan got his injury at half time and then they did it Ratchford. And then, of course, the year that we played Wigan where it was a tighter game, I think Wigan won maybe 12. Was it 12-6? Can't remember. Weren't a big score. It was a tight game, but if you remember that was the game where Tompkins should have got sent off. It was his last game for Wigan,
and
he it was an absolute nailed on red. He didn't even get 10. It was.
I don't think they gave a penalty for it, did
they? Absolutely ridiculous. So I think when Warrington came up against Leeds, I think Leeds. To be fair to Leeds, I think one of the Leeds games was a close one as well. But I think Leeds.
To this day, Ryan Atkins, all you had to do was pass it to your winger, and we'd won the grand final.
Yeah,
you went for glory and dropped the ball.
Still niggles you now. Niggles you now. But anyway, one thing's for certain. Let's just hope that Rugby League is the winner. Like I say, we will be there. May even take a few subtle photographs.
But no, partake of a few sherbets too. So.
Absolutely. The nectar will be flowing, Scott. But no, it's look, it is what it is. It's a great spectacle. Hopefully, we get to see some really good action, some really, really good tries. I'm sure we will do. And we'll be back, as always, this time next week to review all things grand final. We may even have a little surprise as well, but we'll have to see how that one goes. But yeah, happy days. Really looking forward to the weekend ahead. We hope that you are too. Make sure you watch the Super League grand final this Saturday. But yeah, that's us. In approximately 8 minutes' time, the Super League Man of Steel Award will be live on YouTube on the Super League YouTube channel. So maybe now you've finished watching me and good old Reggie here, you might just want to scoot all over to that and see who goes and takes the big prizes at that gala dinner this evening.
Greg, we may see some of you on Saturday.
We may see someone. Yeah, get in touch if anybody's down there. Where you're going to be drinking. And we'll look forward to hopefully bumping into you. But as always, it's been a pleasure. Next week, our final show of 2022. What a shame that'll be. But anyway, as always, thanks for joining us. It's been great having your company.
Cheers, guys.
Enjoy the grand
final.
Thank you very much. All the best. Bye now. Bye now.